I put up a poll asking what video y'all wanted for this Friday the 13th, and y'all voted for The New Blood. Is this one of the most iconic Friday the 13th movies, or is it just lost in the shuffle? For one of the spookiest days of December, I guess you could call a real nightmare before Christmas. I've seen that joke a lot. We're gonna talk about it, so come chill. What up, y'all? Welcome back to Phantom of the Indie Review. I am your host. We're on the cusp of 4,000 subscribers. 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. The way that my video's been kind of popping off means a lot to me. For all my day ones who've been watching this, y'all the best. Y'all the best. If you're new to the channel, come join the team. Because like Zac Efron says, we all in this together. If you love nostalgia, which is the backbone of this channel, and if you want to see Jason Voorhees' face, like unmasked, come hang out and give me a Sebi. A part of me wants to applaud this movie because it took a massive left turn after the whole Tommy Jarvis unravelings of the final chapter and Jason Lives. And to the dismay of some fans, this one was actually supposed to be the original crossover between Jason and Freddy Krueger, two horror icons going at it. I mean, the profits of Friday the 13th were diminishing heavily, and Freddy Krueger just kept skyrocketing, and it just made sense to pit them together. They thought this was going to be the movie to do it. But like most things in horror, the opportunity was abandoned when the two companies just couldn't agree on it. Such is life. There was another concept floating around too, noted as being similar to the plot of Jaws, where a corporate land developer covers up the previous Jason Voorhees massacres in order to profitably build condos on Crystal Lake. I mean, the only thing similar to Jaws, to me that sounds like, is water. I mean, what is this movie, like fucking Avatar? But screenwriter Daryl Haney came up with the unthinkable. He's like, yo, there's always a final girl left in the clutches of evil to go head to head with Jason Voorhees, a very unfair advantage. But what if this girl had superpowers too? That'd be weird, right? And though they considered this idea more of like a Jason Voorhees versus Carrie theme, a lot of the producers and writers wanted to make this movie more respectable than the previous entries. They were really fighting to bring relevancy back into the Friday the 13th genre with the respect it deserved, because, I mean, we saw all the Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. Why do I always hold my vape in my hand when I film? I'm not addicted. And yes, they were profiting more, but they became more loony, cartoony, and drastic. But their claims was they wanted this to be unlike any Friday the 13th movie that anyone had ever seen, and I can kind of agree to them accomplishing that. But the producer was going heavy on this. She wanted like high qualifying directors to make this movie. She wanted fucking Academy Awards. She wanted Jason Voorhees to accept to be on the podium once and for all and hold that Oscar trophy. I mean, that's a little bit far-fetched, but people should have their hopes and desires. For example, mine is 4,000 subscribers. The film's original title was actually Birthday Bash, and the Academy Award goes to Friday the 13th Birthday Bash. But the biggest, most important fact of this video, the one thing you should take away from it, is this is the first movie that has our boy Kane Hodder. You know and love him. He became a horror icon. The fact that he became a horror icon so late into the Friday the 13th franchise is a testament to his work. I mean, look at the man now. He's on all these B-rated movies that he probably gets paid a lot to be in. Hatchet, and he's lovable. I mean, I even saw on Facebook that they were doing like a paranormal hunting investigation thing with him. You could win that. Kane Hodder, if you're watching this, I want to hunt ghosts with you. And the reason Kane Hodder actually got this role, he was ultimately chosen based on his work in a film called Prison, for which the New Blood's director, Carl Bochler, had worked on as the special effects makeup artist. So, industry nepotism. Man, come on, Kane, I respected you. And all around, this is a very interesting movie. First and foremost, let's talk about that whole supernatural aspect. The movie starts off with a flashback scene of a young woman named Tina Shepard, who has a little girl is running out of her house from her mean dad. He's cussing out the wife, something about a pastrami sandwich or something. No. And he goes after her, and she hops into a little canoe on Crystal Lake, and there he's like, you better get back here, and obviously clearly she's afraid of him. She doesn't want to go back to see her dad. He seems like a belligerent prick, so she uses telekinetic powers to disrupt the dock he is on, and he falls beneath and drowns tragically in the murky waters of Crystal Lake. And this is a theory I have. All over the internet there's a bunch of theories, so don't take my words too critically. I'm just speculating something because I like to talk horror and I like to come up with fascinating ideas. There's very little backstory on Tina and her family on Crystal Lake, but I have a theory. What if this little girl, Tina, she is generating some supernatural powers from the lake itself, from Jason under the water, because the same area in which her father drowned in, Jason is in that little pond too, that little part of the lake. So what if Jason's energy, because we all know Jason Voorhees died when he was a little young kid, somehow was represented as an adult 6'9" man in the movies, but yeah, he dies as a young kid, scared and bullied. So what if when Tina is in the water, Jason is kind of reconnecting, kind of like telepathically connecting with her, giving her those powers, not necessarily making her evil like we've seen in a lot of movies, but maybe that innocence he had as a child permeated into the air and went through Tina, or maybe Tina just already had this fucking shining ability anyway. And then the movie jumps back to the present day where they're all at Crystal Lake, and I will say, yes, this movie does take itself very seriously. There are abundance of kills, not the best kills in the series, but there are a lot more than you would suspect. I feel like every other scene, Jason is coming around brutally killing people. And there's this one scumbaggy character I didn't really resonate with. I don't think you're supposed to, but he's like the psychologist doctor that is trying to like experiment on Tina. He's like, we're gonna get to the bottom of your supernatural abilities, girl. And she's like, dude, this is lame. Like me, I'm sure all of you have seen this movie. You've probably seen hundreds of reviews of people talking about the same stuff over and over again, pinpointing it, talking about the same famous kill scenes. But I just wanted to talk about a specific theory that I came up with in my own interpretation. There's this one scene where after Jason demolishes and kills most of the campers at the lake, there's a scene where Tina is running through the woods looking for her mother, and she kind of stumbles into a little opening of the woods where it reveals a good portion of the casualties in the film, all the corpses all in one area. There are some left behind at the house, so not all of them are accounted for, but a part of me was wondering if Jason placed them there to lure Tina there to get a gauge on her powers. I feel like he remembers her from when she was a child and the power she had, and maybe he's trying to target her because to take the power back, or because he's curious, because in this movie we do see the brutal posture of Jason. He seems more angry, more angsty, more ready to kill in this one. Kane Hodder's appearance, body work really shows Jason's viciousness in this one, but I was getting the feeling as he's going after Tina that he doesn't have a desire to kill her, if that makes sense. Like a lot of times we see the final girls, Jason is desperately trying to get to them. This one, it just seemed like he was following her around, more observing her, curious about her nature. And again, this is all speculation. This is just me coming up with a video idea because I'm bored. So maybe he lured all those bodies there for her to come, get really scared and use that power, but maybe he didn't realize how strong this power was and that it could be used against him, because before then nothing could really stop Jason. He didn't know he could be stopped by these powers. And another thing too, more pessimistic approach, if you will, maybe they gave her telekinetic powers because they couldn't get Freddy Krueger. Maybe they're like, yo, we had this whole plan for Freddy versus Jason already. Jason can't be here, Freddy can't be here. What if we made the girl a little bit supernatural to kind of replicate some fight scenes and some nuisances and trials that Jason will go through against a admirable foe? That's just another realistic approach. But yeah, Tina is a very interesting character. I feel like this movie doesn't get enough credit for its originality and novelty that it has, because I really do feel like they did what they wanted to do other than win an Oscar. They wanted to take this movie more seriously. They wanted to make it more brutal in tone and more respectable in the horror nature. It didn't seem as cookie cutter as previous installments, and it was a bold concept to do a supernatural aspect to it. I really feel like that was swinging for the fences, especially after the whole Thomas Jarvie wrap up. How do you follow up with that? So I feel like they did a good job. There's some great characters in here. I like how the campers are, concerned by Tina because they heard about the lore and legend of her killing her father and that she was in a mental institution, so they're kind of making fun of her for it. But they do gravitate and give Tina the big portion of the role. There are some Friday the 13th movies that they do give each individual kind of their shining moment before they get killed, but this one you could tell they were just all purely casualties to Jason. They had their little excerpts, their little snippets, their little moments, but they weren't vital to the movie, so you didn't really feel bad about them getting killed off, which is good when you're trying to do a backstory so outlandish like Tina's. And it's not really outlandish, because if a man named like Jason can be killed when he was a kid and come back as a demonic, spirited, gigantic killer, then why can't another person have supernatural powers? People always are like, that's a little bit too far-fetched. Why? And she does prove to be an admirable opponent to Jason. She really lures him throughout the house, and she does some things to him, and we get a scene where we get to see him unmasked. Yes, many times in the franchise we do see him unmasked, but I feel like this one is the most brutal, gruesome and fun. Like, you can see the anger and rage and the zombie-ish look on his face. That's very cool. And all around, the movie builds. And it's just a good time. After rewatching it for the first time after a long time, at first I was like, this movie's so meh. It was so middle of the pack. It wasn't the worst by far, and it obviously wasn't the best. But the more I thought about it, I was like, this one is the most unique and the most interesting. So I'm glad that the people that voted on the poll chose this one, because y'all saw something that I didn't. It was a fun movie. And all around, I feel like this movie deserves its recognition as being a unique twist on a franchise coming so late into the installments. It's a genuinely good horror movie with some serious tones to it. My only gripe is, yes, even though the movie does start with them showing kind of the flashback of Tommy Jarvis's final movie, Jason seems to kind of just be there killing off people like he does in most movies, but I feel like tying that whole Tina lore to him, in my mind, works and makes the movie more fun to think about. But alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Comment down below if you think this theory is half-baked, or if there's some credit to it, or if you have your own crazy theory to it, because I know a lot of you have very creative ideas. Is this your favorite Jason movie? Let me know. It's definitely one of the better designs, am I right? But thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot to me. Happy Friday the 13th, if you can say that, mask. Don't. Please subscribe. Give me a thumb, hit that ding-ling button, harassing you, telling you, hey, it's me, I'm here, and I'm gonna say it one time for the one time and two time for the O's. Give me a hell yeah for horror.